Okay, check it out. If your black daughter is already dancing around like a grown ass woman on TikTok, and your black son is mimicking clout chasing, violence, and misogyny, this episode just might be for you. I'm David J. They call me Professor, and for the next 20 minutes, right, I am going to probably piss some people off, but that's not the intent. I am going to answer the question why TikTok is hypersexualizing our black girls and what parents can actually do, even when the parents are the problem. All right, I'll break down how TikTok is reshaping who our kids think they're supposed to be and how you can intercept that script before it becomes their identity. All right, so I'm not here to sensationalize what we're seeing on TikTok. Right, I'm here as a media literacy educator. Right, I spent years teaching kids how to understand messages, what's behind the messages, the images, the algorithm, the trends that quietly shape how young people see themselves, especially black kids. And yes, I've been teaching this long before media literacy became a buzzword, helping students break down who controls the narrative, who profits from it, and how black kids get caught in the middle. Now, I would probably say since COVID, over the last few years, one pattern, and I'm sure you've probably seen it, has become impossible to ignore, and that is TikTok is hypersexualizing our black kids at an alarming rate. Right? I always come with receipts, so I'm going to start with the numbers. A 2023 study published in Science Direct looked at 884 teenage girls aged 13 to 18, including, black girls, 248 of them. The researchers wanted to know, and this was their question, how does social media use influence self-sexualization and mental health? And what they found was that the more time girls spend on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, the more they engage in self-sexualization, basically asking themselves, how sexual do I look? Instead of, who am I? You see, that self-sexualization led directly to higher body shame, lower self-esteem, and worse overall well-being. And here's the other part to that, the caveat to that. Right? For black girls, it's layered with a whole nother problem. Sexualized racial stereotypes. Right? And that same study showed that black and Asian American girls were more likely to encounter and internalize sexualized racial stereotypes online, which, yes, further damage their self-image and mental health. I want you to think about that for 1 second. Just really stop, pause. Your daughter opens TikTok, right? The algorithm feeds her images that say, this is what black girls are supposed to be. And guess what? Slowly, without even realizing it, she starts to believe that particular script, right? And it's not kids being kids, believe me, because I was a kid once. I didn't have algorithms. What we're looking at now is algorithmic shaping. Algorithmic shaping. Right? Now, there are a lot of social media platforms, but why TikTok in particular? I'll give you a couple of reasons. One, TikTok is built on a short form, highly visual performance, right? Which means that every video is about how you look, how you dance, how you flirt, how you pop off. Unlike long form platforms like YouTube, TikTok gives you literally seconds to impress. So the brain learns to compress maturity, sexuality, and charisma into a 15-second clip. Second, TikTok rewards attention, and attention often follows the sexual. Again, more receipts. A 2025 qualitative study of sexual content on TikTok and Instagram found that black and brown creators are pushed into 4 main scripts. 4. 1, sexualization and identity. 2, validation and social compliance. Number 3, risk normalization and resistance and counter narratives. Now, that means many black teens are learning that sexual performance equals what? Popularity. And then third, TikTok's algorithm is self-reinforcing. So that means if your teen watches a few suggestive videos, right, the For You page, that's why it's called For You, responds with more of the same. And here's what's really crazy about it. It doesn't just show hot girls. Mm-mm. No. It starts to normalize it as a default. In other words, this is the default behavior that black girls think they're supposed to default to, right? And this is especially dangerous because of what's called adultification. Adultification is treating black girls as grown and ready before they're emotionally ready. And studies show, yes, that black girls who are adultified report higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even sexual victimization. So when TikTok pushes that script, folks, it's not entertainment. What they're doing is socially conditioning, and it comes with real consequences. Right? So far, I've been talking about parents protecting kids from TikTok, but there's a part of this, right? Part of this story that many adults they don't want to talk about, right? And that is what happens when the adults are the ones who are normalizing the same behavior. Just imagine again a girl scrolling TikTok all day long, right? Seeing black women shaking their asses for likes, twerking in short clothes, and doing those hot girl walks, all for what? Clout, right? Then she goes home, and then she sees her mother doing the exact same thing on camera. So from that girl's perspective, that looks like a green light for her to do the exact same thing. It looks like this is how we get attention. This is how black women get seen. This is how we get love. Right? And when adults are the ones that are modeling and profiting from this script, the kids are watching and immersed in what these parents are doing. And what happens is you're starting to deal with family level hypersexualization that is being passed down under the guise of entertainment. This is why media literacy should not stop at just your child's screen. Media literacy starts with adults who are behind the camera. Right? And here's the other part. We cannot talk about this without acknowledging what it is doing to black boys. Because I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the impact on black boys, their antisocial behavior, their draw towards violence, their misogyny, their materialism, and how they are learning to see themselves and black women. You see, social media is just not teaching them how to post, okay? For the black boys, it's teaching them to perform masculinity based on the guidelines of TikTok. And you know what? Not just TikTok, social media, right? So for them, performing masculinity means to be emotionally unguarded, but not emotionally healthy. To be materialistic, but not grounded. And to be aggressive, but not disciplined, right? And then to be disrespectful, because that part really got me. Because I see a lot of this right now, to be disrespectful towards black women instead of being protective of them, right? And when a young boy is constantly fed violence, clout chasing, sexual bravado, and anti-woman content, the issue, it doesn't become bad behavior. It is a warped identity formation process. In other words, your son is going through a identity formation process that is being warped by social media. So again, I come with receipts, right? Research. I'm always going to go to the research. Research and reporting on youth and online culture shows that platforms can repeatedly push violent, misogynistic content. That repeated exposure can normalize those activities over time. So in other words, if your son keeps seeing that same old thing, your son begins to normalize it. And then those attitudes become a part of who they are over time. And young black boys, they are not neutral to this. No, they are being pulled into a script that teaches them that dominance, control, and emotional suppression are the ways to earn respect, which is totally off the mark. So when you see black boys acting antisocial, volatile, or degrading towards black girls and black women, we have to ask how much of that has been shaped by what they've absorbed on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, right? And how much of that are adults allowing, even rewarding under the guise of it's just a joke or boys will be boys. And here's the thing, before you say anything, no, I'm not giving black boys a pass, not at all. I'm forcing black adults to own our role in either reinforcing that pattern or interrupting it. But here's another thing. What about black boys and young men who see this? Check it out. Their mom or their aunt shaking it on TikTok, or their sister being filmed in short clothes, or their cousin joking about their body count in videos, right? They learn three things, young black boys. One, women's bodies are entertainment. Two, sex is a performance for views. And three, the way to be respected is to be sexual or aggressive. Folks, again, algorithmic conditioning being passed down through the family. And you should ask yourself, am I the reason they think this is normal? So, quick question. What can parents and educators actually do? First and foremost, delay and restrict access. So if you don't know, Australia just restricted their social media use to teenagers 16 and below. So if you're 16 and below, you can't watch social media. Again, receipts. Pediatric and public health experts, right, recommend delaying TikTok and Instagram until at least the mid-teens, which is exactly what Australia is doing, right? And if that's not possible, then go ahead and just set some clear boundaries around their usage. Simple rules like no private sexual content, no sexting, no sexual challenges, right? These are not extreme, right? You are trying to reduce the amount of harm to your child that is inevitable via social media. You can also co-view their TikTok. Sit down with your teen once a week. Watch their For You page together, right? And then ask questions like, what messages are you getting from this feed? Right? What are they saying about black girls? What are they saying about black boys, right? What kind of black man or black woman are they being trained to be, right? You can do things like that. You can do things like, I don't know, play games like Name the Narrative. Teach your kids to recognize the Jezebel script and other hypersexual tropes, right? And I think with black boys, you can also add name the misogyny, the violence, and the I don't need to be emotional. I just need to be hard script. See, those are some of the things that you can talk about with black boys. And when they say, it's like, it's just a dance or it's just a joke, your kids are going to say that. Oh, mom, dad, it's just this, it's just that. No, it's okay. You can push back against that, right? Ask them then, okay, then what is the story in this video telling you about black girls? What is the story, right, telling you about black men, right? What is that joke referencing around black people? Introduce them to scripts, point them to black creators, right, who model confidence without sexualization, and black creators who model healthy masculinity. I'm talking about educators, activists, artists, right? Who produce content that's unapologetically black, but not hypersexual or violent. Okay? Black boys in particular need to see examples of black men who lead with responsibility, with protection, and emotional maturity. Not this domination and clout shit that they're throwing out. Right? Now, how do we directly reduce self-sexualization in black teen girls? One, right? We can shift the focus from hot to who you are. Number two, have regular conversations about identity, gifts, purpose, and community impact, not just appearance. Right? And then ask your daughter, what are you proud of about yourself today that has nothing to do with how you look? Right? You can also limit visuals, right? Increase activities outside of social media, right? Encourage offline activities that actually build competence and confidence without an audience watching. Yes. Maybe even volunteering, doing some other things. See, Black teens who engage in non-appearance, listen to me, non-appearance based hobbies are less likely, listen to me, if your kid engages in non-appearance based hobbies, they are less likely to internalize sexualized body standards, right? You can also create a body shame free home. Okay? And then you can also stop comments about grown or fast girls. Now, that one I want to address. Stop it. Stop it. Call out your family members who joke about your daughter's hips, chest, maturity. Right? Stop that. That kind of commentary feeds the adultification and hypersexualization that researchers link to higher depression and sexual victimization. Introduce counter narratives. Read or watch materials together about the history of hypersexualizing Black women, the Jezebel stereotype, the video vixen myth, and how that's being recycled right now on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. Help your daughter to articulate her own Black feminine identity, an identity that is grounded in dignity, not desirability. Right? And if you are an adult holding that camera, I want you to remember something. Your kid is not just learning that TikTok dance or that trend. They're learning who they're supposed to be in the world. And guess what? You get to decide whether that script is about performance or purpose, right? Because you can be the person who intercepts the narrative before it reaches your child's self-image. And just for the record, this episode isn't about shaming our kids. It's about educating. It's not about fear mongering. It's about uplifting, okay? It's about equipping you with the tools to help your kids see that TikTok is what it is. See it for what it is, a platform that rewards performance, not identity. Okay? And what happens is that often confuses attention with power, right? So here are your marching orders, your challenge this week. Pick one thing from what I talked about, whether it's co-viewing their For You page, setting new rules about sexual content, or starting a conversation about the history of hypersexualizing Black women and Black boy identities, right? And do me a favor, actually do it. Okay? And if you're watching as a parent, as an educator, or a Black conscious caregiver, your job, believe it or not, is not to raise compliant kids. It's to raise critically aware kids who know how to question the script instead of just blindly going along with it. Okay? So this is Mind Over Media. Stay sharp, stay rooted, and keep teaching our kids how to see through the media screen. Y'all be good and safe.